everyone. Welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFX-TV. I'm the WrestleGamer, Double B Emily Bujaw. I've got a couple of people to introduce you to for this week's Old School Monday Night Raw review. First off, he is our resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
The patriarch and matriarch of Rockin' Waves 11-94 is here. Ladies and gentlemen, from DJ Chris Masters Productions, it's Chris Rogers. Chris, how you doing?
Doing good, Billy. Thanks for having me on. Great to be back.
Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be looking at Old School Monday Night Raw for the week of January 6, 2014. WWE, I guess you could call it their annual Old School Monday Night Raw event. And we open up with, of course, the Nature Boy Ric Flair coming out to intro the show, only as he can. And then he gets interrupted by Randy Orton. Randy Orton going a little bit of a tirade, saying that you'll never be as good as I am today. And Ric Flair said, you know what, while you were a boy, I was always a man. And Randy Orton just kind of gets upset about that. And then he gets interrupted by John Cena, and much to the dismay of a lot of the WGS-TV fans who follow the live coverage on the Facebook page, saying, oh no, Cena playing the White Knight role again. Well, here's a news flash for you Cena haters out there. Randy Orton and John Cena are currently entangled in a storyline. It makes sense for Cena and Orton to be out there. It does not make sense to call Cena a White Knight if he is not involved in the storyline. So get that through your heads. Cena is involved in the storyline. Whether you haters like it or not, John Cena had to be out there to further the feud and further the build for their match at the Royal Rumble. Now, what kind of stipulation they're going to have is still yet to be determined. But I got to say, decent opening, and it was good to see Ric Flair back. And I got to say, 4 out of 5. As we look at the opening match, Daniel Bryan officially joining the Wyatt family in this matchup as he tagged up with Erick, Rowan, and Luke Harper to take on Rey Mysterio and the Usos. Now, Lance, first looking on this, seeing Daniel Bryan debuting as the Wyatt family, you would figure at first, to kind of put him over, they would actually have the Wyatts win the match, but that didn't happen, did it?
No, it did not. I think it was Luke Harper got pinned. Then there was this whole big Donnybrook, or a little bit of a yelling match between the members of the Wyatt family, and honestly, Daniel Bryan fits in better than I thought he would, aesthetically wise.
Yeah, the beard.
Because he got the unkept beard, the sort of long hair, which...
Yeah, and like I said,
yeah.
you would figure the Wyatts to go over, but that didn't happen that way. How would you score this opening match?
Probably 3.75. Wasn't the best, but pretty good.
Big E Langston's walking down the...
One thing.
Go ahead.
Hey, Billy. One thing that I would like to mention, I was a little surprised. I thought that they would finally pass down the role of the goat to Daniel Bryan, or the sheep, or whatever the mask is. I don't know. Llama, something like that.
I think the sheep belongs to
bring back the
Rowan.
goat.
They might make a makeshift goat mask for Daniel Bryan. You never know. That's WWE's thinking about that. But how about this? Big E Langston walking down what I called the Hall of Legends on Monday Night Raw, getting ready for his matchup with Curtis Axel. First running in, of course, to the legendary Nikolai Volkov. Then, of course, we see the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And then Erwin R. Shyster reminding Big E Langston to pay his taxes. I gotta say, so far, nice old school feel to Monday Night Raw. And another old school feel for the Monday Night Raw. If you guys have noticed, the referees were in old school gear. I gotta say, nice touch by the WWE to actually do that, to put the referees, back in the blue shirts with the tie. I gotta say, good job on that one. As Langston was taking on Curtis Axel with Ryback on commentary. Chris, I got to say that Ryback really didn't contribute much on commentary, did he?
Nah, the past few months, if you think about it, he went from basically having top billing to, so it's, in my opinion, he's in a downward spiral right now. I don't see him mainly lasting much longer before he just goes to low card status. I mean, he basically is kind of there right now, but
let me interrupt you and ask you this. From what they were doing on commentary, it kind of sounds like they're setting up a match for Langston and Ryback. Do you think that might be happening?
I can see that, and that would actually be interesting. I would actually watch that. It would, two huge guys going at it, that would be a very interesting match. Sort of like, how Mark Henry and Big Show did. It'd be cool.
Yeah, but the way
wouldn't be little guy versus big
wrong.
guy.
But anyway, two big guys.
Yeah, I was trying to find a good way to say that did not happen.
No, but anyway, Langston hits the big ending on Curtis Axel, gets the victory, and I got to say, Curtis Axel, the Shining Star, Rick Starr's favorite wrestler of all time, goes down once again, and hopefully after this one we won't see any more repetitive matches with Langston and Curtis Axel. Chris, your score?
I have to say 3.5 out of 5.
Returning to old school.
It was pretty
Go
good.
ahead. Returning to old school Monday Night Raw. Rowdy Roddy Piper. Piper's Pit with the Shield. How about that? Roddy Piper and Dean Ambrose in the Battle of the Mics. There was a few Facebook fans who really didn't seem too enthralled with that. I believe even one person said that Dean Ambrose is just a no-talent waste of space. I mean, I don't see it that way. I think Dean Ambrose is actually wonderful on the microphone, and so is Rollins, and Reigns has really progressed ever since they made their debut back in Survivor Series of 2012. But I gotta say, it was a very interesting segment. Roddy Piper trying to nitpick and see and try to expose some more cracks in the Shield, and no, we're not talking about the Bud either. And he kind of makes it known that Punk has beaten Ambrose. He has beaten Rollins, and goes on to say, what if Roman Reigns beats CM Punk? Does that mean that Roman Reigns is better than Ambrose and Rollins in the Shield? Roman Reigns kind of gets in his face about it when CM Punk came out to make the same, but he was not alone, ladies and gentlemen. The Road Dogg, Jesse James, and the badass Billy Gunn, or as Mr. Justin Littman on the Facebook page has asked me to call him Mr. Ass, the New Age Outlaws, came up to take care of the Shield. And I gotta say, Piper's Pit, 5 out of 5. I thought it was great. And not only that, the save by not only CM Punk, but the New Age Outlaws, really, really interesting, and it kind of plays into what happened later in the evening. But as we get to the next match here, it's the return of Alberto Del Rio taking on Sin Cara. Now, Lance, we've seen over the past few weeks Sin Cara racking up some really impressive matches and wins as of late, but they brought back Del Rio, and you kind of figured that Del Rio would have to be the one to get over, and he did, hitting the sidekick. But here's the thing that I found interesting. WWE made the announcement early in the night that Batista would be in the Royal Rumble, which was kind of expected. If the animal's coming back, it would have to be to enter the Royal Rumble. But, what are your thoughts about Del Rio's post-match comments about Batista in the Rumble? What are your thoughts about that?
from what it was like, Del Rio's going to beat Batista like a scalded dog or something, or something along those lines, I think. Which, okay, Del Rio ain't a small guy, but he ain't as big of an old boy as Batista, so, well, still from good old JR, he's gonna get beat like a government mule. That's how I see it.
Let's go 3.75 out of 5 for Del Rio and Sin Cara as Backstage. DDP, Diamond Dallas Page was back there, of course, to promote, his new yoga video, and he has helped a lot of people, especially Jake the Snake, Robert Scott Hall. He's helped a lot of people DDP yoga, and you have it.
Oh, the old version, the first version of it.
Yeah, and like we said, he's helped out tremendously, with a lot of people. And then, here comes Booker T, and then for some reason Backstage they start doing yoga poses. And Del Rio, I'm sorry, not Del Rio, Ron Simmons comes out and, gives his a famous one-word response to the whole situation. And if you don't know, exactly, right there. As we look towards the next matchup, the Real Americans taking on Cody Rhodes and Goldust. We've seen these two teams go at it before for the tag team titles. The matchup itself was okay. Goldust hitting the final cut on Swagger. I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring up my notes here. On Swagger to get the win. A fairly decent match. Let's go 4 out of 5 for that one. And next up, I apologize. I kind of got my notes backwards here. Right after this match, the Diamond Dallas Page segment happened, but before that, it was Daniel Bryan talking to the Wyatts. Chris, I got to ask you about this. He's saying, he's a former tag team champion. He wants to contribute, and he wants to teach the Wyatts about how to be a good tag team and tag team champions. And he goes to Rowan and Harper saying, I want to tag with you. Let me contribute. Let me teach you how to be a good tag team. Then Bray Wyatt comes up from behind him and says that won't be necessary because next week Daniel Bryan will be teaming up with him. What are your reactions to that?
I kind of seen, then when I saw that segment, I kind of understood then why WWE put Daniel Bryan with the Wyatts, because in my opinion, they were kind of, just there, but now that they have sort of a top biller there, Daniel Bryan with them, something big. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, I think because basically they treat Bray Wyatt, I believe, they treat the main guy on Duck Dynasty basically like a god. So basically, I think Daniel Bryan, they may go in as a tag team, but Bray Wyatt won't be in his corner to tag him. He'll try every which way not to get tagged in and just let Daniel Bryan get slaughtered. So, but I with Daniel Bryan with them now, I do see maybe some promise there if they do it correctly.
And all night long, fans have had the opportunity to choose the special guest referee for the rematch between the Great Khali and Damien Sandow. For those of you who don't remember, the Great Khali last week clearly had his shoulders up, and the referee still counted the pin. And we had the options of, I believe it was Bob Backlund. We also had Sergeant Slaughter, and I'm trying to remember who the third guy was. But Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson. It was Arn Anderson. And fans ended up voting Sergeant Slaughter. Now, I'm just going to briefly mention this matchup because it really wasn't nothing special, to be honest. But we had Great Khali coming out with Raj.
It's all a return.
Yeah, Rajan Singh. Rajan Singh is back, and it was just basically a role reversal is what we saw. Great Khali hits the brain chop on Sandow, And when he goes to pin him, his legs are clearly on the ropes, and Slaughter still pins him down. Sandow, not happy about that, gets in Slaughter's face and ends up in the Cobra Clutch for his troubles. And then they all started dancing like they were having an epileptic seizure. That's what it looked like. 3.5 out of 5. But here's something really, really big to talk about. Paul Heyman in the ring with Brock Lesnar, boasting about what Lesnar did to Mark Henry last week. Now, a couple of big events happened during this segment. First off, Mark Henry comes out to kind of, he wants to get even with Lesnar for what happened, and he ends up being in the Kimura lock for his trouble and getting his, arm broken. If you guys don't know what I mean by that, where the hell have you been? And then they start walking away. Now, this is a scenario, Lance, that I believe none of us saw coming. Big Show showed up and basically punked Lesnar out. And I gotta say, we were expecting a feud between, either Henry and Lesnar or Big E Langston and Lesnar. Big Show and Lesnar was nowhere in the equation.
No. I mean, WWE better invest in some more sturdy rings, because let's not forget, they have broken the rings a couple of times in wrestling together.
SmackDown 2003.
And, this is... I believe you're right. So, Brock, keep Big Show off the top turnbuckle, please.
Yep.
This is going to be a good feud.
Chris, your thoughts on this? Like I said, Big Show. We never even thought about Big Show showing up in this segment, and WWE inserted him there.
Let me just say, this could be pretty epic. I am looking forward to this. It'd be even kind of cool, somehow to have like Mark Henry in Big Show's corner, or even him participate in the fight, and the matches, help Big Show
down. Maybe smack around Paul a little bit.
I've also seen reports that they actually have signed it for the Royal Rumble. Big Show taking on Brock Lesnar, so that should be a very interesting matchup to say the least. As we talk about,
bring out the ring reinforcements.
5 out of 5.
Yes, because you can't have a Royal Rumble without the ring.
Yeah. 5 out of 5 for the segment with Lesnar, because like I said, for once, WWE did something good. They pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. Nobody saw Big Show coming. I didn't see him coming. So I got to hand it to WWE for that one. As we look at the Bellas taking on, do I have to say it? Oksana and Alicia Fox.
Yes.
Now, how this constitutes as a finish, I don't know. Brie Bella misses a missile dropkick off the ropes, and Oksana gets the pin on her. Now, why WWE is pushing Oksana, I have absolutely no idea why. Some people think she's hot. I don't.
It'll change for next week.
Some people think
it'll change for next week, and they'll go back to promoting another person.
Hopefully. 2 out of 5. But what I loved next was the next match, 3MB. Yes, the return of Heath Slater, unfortunately, taking on Too Cool and Rikishi. I gotta say, great to see those guys in there. For their age, Lance, they really didn't look that bad.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Christopher still wrestles around here. And a lot of time, Rikishi does too. I think Sky Too High is a fireman somewhere. But one of my segments of the night, I gotta say, is it's Too Cool 2. Or, no, Too Cool 2 is actually a Memphis tag name, but yeah. Awesomeness.
Awesome. Let's go 4 out of 5 on that one. And then next up, WWE were honoring the legends on stage when, of course, we had Bad News Barrett, who apparently had bad news, and my unfortunate news is we're not even going to talk about what Bad News Barrett said, because the Bad News Barrett gimmick sucks. I'm comes Mean Gene Okerlund up next, saying that if you fans want to get the most up-to-date news on the backstage gossip in wrestling, to call his hotline. It's $5.99 a minute.
He has to get money somehow and get his name out there. I mean, he only has one time a year to do that.
He intros the New Age Outlaws, who then intro CM Punk, which leads us into the main event match with Punk and Roman Reigns. I gotta say, it looked really, really awesome. Ambrose distracts Punk long enough so Reigns can spear him and get the win, and then out of another big surprise, Jake the Snake Roberts shows up. The Shield get taken out. Punk makes Ambrose go to sleep with the GTS, and Jake the Snake takes out. That's not the to JBL. That's not the New Danian. It's Revelations. I wonder how many people actually remembered the name of that snake, Revelations, when Jake the Snake tried to make his comeback around 1996. But anyway, there's a picture circulating. You can even go on the WGS-TV Facebook page to check it out. When they put Revelations on the face of Ambrose, he just, he's supposed to be knocked out, but he just smiled. And like I said before, if you want to put a snake that close to my face, you better have jumped me up really, really fucking good, because you'll never get a snake that close to me ever in my life when I am awake. Can you guys tell I hate snakes? I'm talking about actual snakes.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
But
yeah, I can tell.
All right, well, it's time to go to overall scores and our picks for best and worst match or segment of Old School Monday Night Raw. And I gotta say, Old School Monday Night Raw, some people doth protest it wasn't really old school enough. To me, it was old school enough. I gotta go 4 out of 5 for the show. I thought it was very good. I thought it was really well done. I liked seeing the legends back. Piper's Pit was great. And, seeing Jake the Snake Roberts, who looked really, really good. He's done really well with DDP Yoga. And I gotta go best match of the night. I gotta go to Punk and Reigns for that worst match of the night, or worst segment, the appearance of Bad News Barrett. What in the world are they doing with Wade Barrett? And some people,
it looks like he's
squashing it.
Pretty much.
It looks like he has a rubber hammer.
Yeah.
It looks like he's banging a toy hammer on.
But anyway, Lance, on to you. What's your overall score and your picks for best and worst match or segment of Old School Raw?
I go 3.75. Best match, Reigns and Punk. Because, let's face it, we all, I didn't know that, it looked like, Dean Ambrose really didn't enjoy having another man's snake in his face.
Well, he had the smile on his face.
Yeah, he looked like he enjoyed having another man's snake in his face anyway. Worst match, the Divas match.
Ew. Anyway, Chris, what about you? Your overall score and your picks for best and worst match or segment of Old School Raw. And Lance, I'm going to go into therapy because of what you just said.
I can say something that would really scare you.
Don't.
Score for Raw, 4 out of 5. For best, it's a tie between the Reigns versus Punk, and mainly because he's from my hometown, the Ron Simmons DDP Yoga Dam. Paying him to say just that one line, that's got to be the easiest job in the book. Basically, just say damn and you get paid your salary. And for worst, Divas and Bad News Barrett. So Bad News Barrett, what the hell, giving him a rubber toy magnet for a gavel. And for Divas, come on, there's someone better that gets other people up other than Oksana. And
Mike Watson,
I don't mean people getting up and clapping.
Mr. Mike Watson on the Facebook page kind of made notice, what would happen if Bad News Barrett ran into Bad News Brown? And I kind of replied, I think a lot of wrestling fans today would have no idea who Bad News Brown is. So,
who is Bad News Brown?
I'll talk to you after the review is done about that, Chris. As we now like to go to the fans of WGS-TV and find out what they thought of Monday Night Raw this week. Old School Raw. What is your overall score? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of Old School Raw? We want to hear from you guys out there. Be sure to put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on youtube.com/LanceMossTV?
Q&As, album reviews, NASCAR reviews, cooking videos, and whatever else pops into my head.
Chris, where can fans go to find out more information about Rockin' Waves 11294 and your DJ business?
For DJ business, they can look up facebook.com/DJ Chris Master Productions. For Rockin' Waves 11294, you can either check out the Rockin' Waves 11294 radio network on Facebook or youtube.com/ChrisMaster1 or www.rockinwaves.com.
Fans, also don't forget to like the Facebook page, facebook.com/WGS-TV, and don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network. So for the incomparable Lance Moss of Lance Moss TV and Chris Rogers of Rockin' Waves 11294, I'm the WrestleGamer, W.B. Billy Boudreaux, saying thank you very much for watching. By the way, this week's Monday Night Raw review has been brought to you by Rockin' Waves 11294's brand new product, Air Up Your Anus.
Oh, God.